Seem to be live. Hey, it's Mike Duffy here from don'tgethacked.ca. It's my weekly Wednesday, 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time broadcast from the Calgary Petroleum Club here in downtown Calgary. So how's your Wednesday going? A little rushed around this Wednesday. Just as it snowed and then traffic and all that stuff. So I'm a little bit late starting the stream. I think it's 2:25. Let's see. 2:25 p.m. here. Downtown parking's fun. All that stuff's fun. So anyway, again, welcome to the show. I'm going to be broadcasting this every Wednesday for the foreseeable future from the studio here at the Calgary Petroleum Club. So if you're in Calgary and you want to join me on my show, the invite is open. I'd love to have other business owners come and join me so we can discuss what your technology problem is. We can fix it live over in studio, or we can also schedule to do it over Zoom. And, I know every business owner out there has some type of technology problem that they can't solve, or gets put on a list, and maybe every couple of months that they look at it, or they have a recurring issue that seems to be fixed, and it's a nagging issue, which ends up being this unresolved tech ache. So we can solve that. Sometimes it's easy, maybe 20, 30 minutes, and sometimes it's going to take a little bit longer for me to research the problem, try a couple of solutions. But at the end of the day, we will get you a solution. I just came from a business, from a retail store, and we've been having to upgrade computers and just take care of stuff that's old. We don't have permission to buy new computers yet. Hint, hint. Time to buy new computers, but it's fine. We're waiting for them to open up a new location, and we'll be buying new computers at that point. But, there's just random stuff in a retail store to troubleshoot, and sometimes it takes you a couple minutes to troubleshoot things, and sometimes it's a couple of visits, because you try one solution, then you come back a week later to see if that made any difference. So sometimes problem solving is really quick, and sometimes it does take a couple weeks, maybe a month or two to get them wrapped out. But I was asked after, by a manager in the store if I dealt with digital business cards. So these are plastic or metal business cards that you can tap on somebody's phone, and then your contact information pops up on their phone. And I'm like, yeah, sure. All the gadgets, I buy them, I test them. I don't really use this that much, but again, networking events were kind of shut down, suspended for last couple of years. So now, since it's end of 2022, we're having networking events again. I've been tapping this on people's phones and adding my info. The taps, and then has a QR code on the back. So I have experience with these as well. They had them and they don't know how to program them. So I, said, hey, I'll get into my car. I'll send you a picture of the type of tappable business card I have, because I don't get many requests about these, but I know how to set these up if anybody does have one. So just part of the processes involved with running a IT business is you have your possible leads coming in, and you have to respond to text messages, emails, verbal communication with what your suggestions are, and ask them if they want to book an appointment, so we can actually take a look at it and see if it's something that we can solve. So that was one question I had today. Tappable business cards. Do I know how to order them? Well, I know how to order them. Do you know how to set them? Do you know how to work them? How do they work, Mike? And how do you set them up? I've got you covered. No problem. I have these for my business. So I got an email lead the other day, and as I said, when leads come in, I don't know if it's going to be instant. If I can convert them into a book service call right away, whether that's over Zoom, over the computer, or on site, or if it's going to be back and forth communication for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months. Sometimes the sales cycle is really long in IT because people are interested in finding out how much it is to fix or solve their problems, but maybe they're not in the financial position in order to take care of that at that particular moment. And you just got to follow up with them to see if it's still urgent, or if solving it is going to create enough value for that person, for that new potential client, to actually go ahead, get you to solve it, and pay you for your service. So I had text messages if I could update WordPress websites. Not a problem. We can update your WordPress website for you. I can handle websites, Wix websites, WordPress websites. Square offers free websites for small to medium businesses. I can help you with those. This particular existing client asked me if I could update her WordPress website. And I'm like, sure. Do you have the usernames and passwords for everything? No. And I'm like, not a problem. So I figured out how to log in, or where the administrative console was for her particular WordPress host. And then, asked her for a couple passwords that she generally uses. I was able to get in, and I said, yes, I can update your WordPress website for you. She believes I built it for her. I never did build it for her. Somebody else built it for her. How do I know that? Well, with permission, you just go through somebody's email inbox and figure out, okay, they had their website built 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. Who was the main contact? See if that person's still in business. If yes, sometimes they'll fix it for you. If not, if no, then you know what, no worries. But of course, what I discover is, yes, I can definitely help you fix your WordPress website. However, updates haven't been done, security patches, she believes she just has to update her website, and I have to communicate with her that it needs to be pictures, pricing, words need to be updated, but the security needs to be dealt with. And I'm assuming nobody's doing backups of the website. So there's all these discovery steps for me to go through when we're onboarding new clients, because we may be asked to fix one thing, but there may be glaring issues that we see in your business setup or your business processes that like the technology that you use. Sometimes there's glaring problems with it. I'm like, I'm going to be doing a disservice to you if I just put a Band-Aid on the thing that you want me to fix without alerting you that you need to do your security updates and do backups. And you know what? If you're using the same password for your WordPress management that you're using for other online services, that's not good. That's not good. That is why I created the easy peasy password sheet. So I've brought this up in previous Wednesday 2 p.m. sessions, but if you're new to my show and you haven't seen this before, Season 1, Episode 9, Don't Get Hacked, Easy Peasy Passwords. I stress how important it is to do a yearly audit of your passwords and go through all the websites that you use, all the usernames and passwords, and actually audit those passwords and see if they actually work. And if they don't work, get them up to date so you know what your password is, so you can store them on your new handy dandy paper password manager, or as well a digital password manager if you're using a digital password manager, right? So this easy peasy password manager, and you can get a digital copy of this as well. Go to my website, send me a message, and I will send you a digital copy of this. But a lot of people would rather have paper copies. So I agree. Paper copy is awesome. You got to have a paper copy, but digital is convenient for other end users. So on this, you're going to register record your website or your app name, the date, your username or email address, if you know it. Your old password, you probably don't know it, but if you do know it, write it down, because I want to make sure you're not reusing passwords for multiple accounts. And the only way you're really going to know is if you're doing a full audit, quarterly, bi-yearly, yearly. Please do it once a year. The only way you're going to really know if you're reusing passwords is by going through and auditing all your passwords to figure out which websites you're using the same password on, and then you should correct that action and get everything updated so you're secure. So, website or app name, date, username or email address, the old password, your new easy peasy password. What do I mean by an easy peasy password? Easy peasy password is something that you can remember. How we achieve that is by creating, it's all in, let me see if I got any important messages. It's all in Season 1, Episode 9, Easy Peasy Passwords. The sentence password, 4 to 7 words, that is what you want to do. So if you watch my episode, I give you some suggestions of how to make a password or a sentence password of 4 to 7 words. You will have to obviously use an uppercase, a lowercase, and a special character, but that's okay. If you come up with sentences that only you are going to remember, nobody's ever going to be able to crack those passwords unless you are storing them in insecure places or you reusing them on multiple websites. It also has a reminder to asking if you've turned on two-factor authentication, circling which type of two-factor authentication you've used, whether it's SMS text, email code, or using an authenticator app. We want to confirm the password strong by going to this website, bitwarden.com, testing your password strength. We want to make sure if you're setting up new passwords that they're uncrackable, easy to remember, but also uncrackable. So if you're using really short words, you might have to use longer words in your password sentence, but it's going to take training and at least 7 to 14. It takes you like 7 to 4 multiple times of redoing something for you to remember, for it to become a habit, right? So this is why I don't assume it's going to be easy to learn to do this method, but this is how you're going to be able to make strong, secure passwords that you can remember. And then just confirming that you've entered your new password into the password app. So I discovered this week, as I said, I was mentioning, I had somebody reach out to me asking if I could upload or update their WordPress website. And I said, sure, not a problem, because I know this person. And to find out, they think I created their website. And I'm like, I did not create WordPress website because I would never set up a WordPress website. There's nothing wrong with a WordPress website. Let me be clear, nothing wrong with a WordPress website, but generally, I have professionals. If you're doing a WordPress website, I've got a team of people I can refer you to do a WordPress website. I have to fix a lot of Wix websites and other in Squarespace. Squarespace is really popular too. So those websites are always updated and always secure. Whereas WordPress, you're going to have to make sure you're doing updates and database updates, and there is more maintenance required with the WordPress website. But the companies who make strong, secure WordPress websites are great. So just a lot of people have a website that was created and has never been updated. And then once they go to update their theme or whatever, they end up with issues with WordPress. So yes, I can help you with tappable business cards, setting these up, programming them so they work. WordPress website. Yes, if you have any type of website issues, we can definitely help you with that as well. Or I can send you to a proper team. My co-author of Brand Sharks, I know the marketing hunters. We've been at the marketing hunters. They deal with WordPress websites. I know that for sure because I've got quotes from them before. So anyway, request this week: tappable website, tappable business card, editing a WordPress website. Yes, we can take care of that, no problem. Another email I had was if I could troubleshoot a monitor, and then my response was, sure. What's the problem with this monitor? Because generally, people will use computer monitors until they die. So you might get 3 years out of a computer monitor. You could get 10, 15 years out of a computer monitor. Computer monitors do seem to last forever, and people will use them till they break or stop dying. And then I generally recommend you buy a new monitor because you've got a really long life out of that monitor. And I'm sure there's used or refurbished monitors out there you can get if you're trying to save a couple dollars, and you don't need a fancy one. However, that's not what the request was. The request I received was, they want to know if I did board level repairs. And the answer, what's a board level repair? Well, somebody has cracked open their monitor because they know the monitor turns on, but they're not getting any menu. They're not getting any type of picture icon on their screen. So they know the monitor turns on because there's a light that comes on in the monitor. But it displays no signal. And they've tried different monitors. They've tried different computers. So they're like, oh, the other monitors and the other computers work, but my monitor doesn't work. And I've taken it apart. And I'm looking at the motherboard, the silicon motherboard and the monitor, and I think I've got a bad chip. And I'm like, I don't get hacked.ca, as well as the other company CanadaComputerHelp.ca. We can advise you of what is wrong with something, and usually I don't do board level repairs. I don't do soldering. There's a thank you for emailing me if you're watching this. We don't do board level repairs, so you may find somebody in Calgary, Alberta, or somewhere else in Alberta who does board level repairs. I know there's TV repair people. You would have to. I've had customers ask. For instance, customers ask me if we repair speakers, and I'm like, I don't repair speakers. You go on Google, you look up speaker repair, or there are going to be businesses on the internet that list that they do repairs, but you're still going to have to contact them with your make and model to see if it's actually an electronics component that they do repair. Because sometimes the repair alone is worth more than a brand new monitor is. So unfortunately, I don't do monitor repairs. I would just say go buy a new monitor. They also had another request though. So I was like, okay, there's two requests. Something wrong with the monitor they wanted me to repair. I don't repair monitors. The other request was an Android phone, which I thought was really interesting because I usually I get requests all the time to fix or diagnose phones. And you know what? If it's cracked or needs a new part, there's plenty of cell phone repair specialists around that will give you a quote. And they're generally pretty affordable. $80, 100, 200, it just depends on the cost of the part, right? So, but I've had these cell phone repair guys before tell me, okay, it's not worth repairing this device. It's not worth repairing that device because the part replacement parts are too expensive and you can go and get a new device at a much more reasonable price. So that's usually, I've taken devices for myself, friends, family members, clients to cell phone repair places as a convenience, as a value added benefit for them, and have either received repair quotes or been told it's not worth it. In this one particular case, it was a OnePlus 6. So if you're an Android phone user, there's a lot of different iPhone. I'm using an iPhone. Only one company makes an iPhone. It's Apple. But with Android phones, there is a bunch of different manufacturers, and there's one called OnePlus. And I looked at these phones, and I'm like, you know what? The phones are cool, and a lot of features, a lot of benefits. But the only downside to new technology and new hardware manufacturers are quality. How long is that device going to last? I see iPhones beat up. These things can take a beating. Of course, people are going to complain about the brand or the cost or accessory costs, whatever. These things are pretty durable, yes. Everybody's going to have cracked screens. That's given. You're always going to have a cracked screen. I have a cracked screen, and I even have a screen protector on that. Just shows how much I drop this. But this request was for a OnePlus 6, and I was going to read the email here, but I don't think I can find it. Of course, I wasn't ready to read this one to you, but I was wondering what I was going to read to you, what I was going to review during Wednesday this live stream from the Calgary Petroleum Club. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. They had a OnePlus 6 phone, an Android OnePlus 6 phone. It won't turn on. Well, it turns on, but they're pretty sure that the firmware or the operating system has to be reloaded. I Googled the problem. It is prevalent. And this, I don't know the hierarchy of the OnePlus phones, but OnePlus 6, I'm assuming it's the 6th generation. So, they're not a brand new phone. They've been making them for a while, but doesn't mean that there's not glitches with new hardware that has come out. So, of course, I looked up this phone issue, and there's blog posts, not just one blog, but multiple blogs about the issue with that model. I just responded to that person's request saying, well, here is the results on Google. Of course, I can look at it, but there's going to be a fee to it. So if you're already the same person who asked about monitor repair, so if you're already ripping apart your monitor, go and try the steps on the OnePlus on all these blog posts, because it sounds like you're going to have to reload the software on that OnePlus 6, and I'm not sure what the success rates on that are, because if it's a known issue, maybe it's a bigger problem than everybody expects. Don't know. I just don't know. My friend is Google. We always look stuff up on Google. and then find out if it's something that I can tackle at a reasonable cost for you or not. So, what other emails came in this week? I had a lovely one about cybersecurity insurance, and I was like, "Ooh, I haven't had any customer review cybersecurity insurance with me for a while." My experience with cybersecurity insurance is, of course, I have insurance for my business. Most customers have asked about it in the past because their insurance providers are requesting it. So you get quotes for cybersecurity insurance, but usually they're gonna have payout limitations. But of course, you may not be able to do something particular with your business unless you have proof of cybersecurity insurance. And so I'm like, hey, you know what? I need to. I've gone through cybersecurity insurance audits before. I've gone through ransomware cleanups when the insurance companies come in, and we've had to step through their whole playbook of how to fix the network, how to fix all the outstanding security flaws in order for that client to qualify to get a cybersecurity insurance policy. And of course, the more things you can check off on the cybersecurity checklist, the lower your premium is going to be. So I got an email about that this morning. Hi, Mike. Hope all is well. We're going to need an upgrade to our cybersecurity insurance in order to deal with contractors. And the response is, you don't have cybersecurity insurance. You have a cyber extortion coverage under your policy. In order to get a cyber insurance quotation, please complete the following forms. There's a bunch of forms. And it sounds like in order to get a good reduced price on cybersecurity insurance, they need to pass 12 key steps. So they need to pass 12 key steps in order to qualify to get an. I don't know how much they were quoted. I know cybersecurity insurance can be very expensive. Business insurance for an IT company like myself is very costly. And so, but of course, the more things you have in place, the more protection, the more controls, the more backups you have in place, your quote's going to be less because you're going to less likely, you have less risk, you're less of a target. So those are just some random things that have come up this week where I'm like, perfect, I got to discuss them on the show. And because I know everybody's technology issues are going to be a little bit different. Some businesses are really basic and they only use website or social media app and then one laptop and everything, every business is going to be different. My wife has a business. She's a yoga instructor. So does she really use the computer for the business? Not really. But there's still a website to update. There is, if I video, like she's not even on social media. So there's no social media to manage. It's really a website and making posters for the business. And, I've got her we got some yoga class videos that we've uploaded to YouTube and we've linked them to her site. So my wife's business is really basic. She doesn't need to use the computer all that much other than to, promote it and then, have a place. She has an online store. So mine, for example, the business is a lot more in depth because there's computers involved. There's certain softwares involved. There's, vehicle assets involved. There is knowledge assets involved. There is subscriptions to a lot of different software that I, use for my clients to protect. Like my business has just a lot of organization. There's just a lot of controls and processes that are documented in order to run this. A retail store client I just came from before I got into the studio is a retail store. So of course they have employees. They've got both a corporate network. They've got both a local network. So corporate network is run by the corporation, but we still got to deal with outside party technology inside the store. So there's a bunch, and there's employees, there's a whole bunch of different levels of technology, there's newer stuff. And then there's stuff that's 10, 20, 30, probably even 40 years old that they run their business off of. So there's every business, the business processes are different. So, makes my life exciting because not everybody's got the same setup. But at the end of the day, your protection's really the same. You need everything documented. Data documented, computers documented, business processes documented. You need to, your data, whatever data you're using, depending on your devices. Some businesses are mobile only. Well, then we're going to back these up a different way than we back up the computers, but we still need to know where your data lives, what type of data you're using, and your business processes, which leads me into my book, Brand Sharks. Unstoppable strategies from industry leaders. So my chapter in here is at the end of the book. It is protecting your digital assets. This book is wonderful. It is so underrated because there's not in enough hands. So there's 11 of us co-authors on the back, and Tim Story on the back of it. Tim Story even vouched for us here. There's no doubt about it. Success leaves clues. In Ruben's new book, he shows us the way to a more magical life through amazing stories and proven principles. I'm a fan of Ruben and a fan of this book, Tim Story. So I just love the fact that we have that on the back because it's just vouch. I know my chapter's really impactful, not just because I wrote it, but because it had to be edited and refined. And then through that editing process, we just pulled out, I had a vision, because in my chapter is all about having a plan. Having a plan just so that way when disaster strikes, you're not so, you're going to be emotionally, you're going to be in shambles. Like you're going to be going through shock. You're going to be going through all this stuff. But my chapter is about protecting your digital assets. Yes, protecting your digital ass by protecting your digital assets. So what I mean by that is having a plan. That is knowing where your data is, knowing where your backups are. And in case of flood, fire, theft, hackers, user error, tornadoes, tsunamis, like anything, like you could be wherever you're located in the world, you're going to have some disasters that are going to be more prevalent than others. Power issues, for example, that's a disaster waiting to happen. I don't even list that in it, but power is a really big problem. If you don't have a stable power, you're going to have issues with your tech, and then you're going to have backup generators, powered line conditioners, all that other. You got to have all these other types of equipment to make sure that your technology's running and working properly, right? So that is, you have a plan. When the power goes out, we do this. And then you're probably also, I'm hoping, backing up your data because, if your power is fluctuating, that's going to cause the computers to be unstable and die prematurely, equipment to die prematurely. That's why you're going to have backups. I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, so we're landlocked, so we don't really have to worry about, we still have to worry about floods though, because in 2013, when it was a Calgary flood, 2013, 2014, one of those summers, 2013, I think. 2013. We had the Bow River in Calgary, Alberta. Like that's one of those floods that's like a once in 100-year lifetime, 100-year event. City was under a state of emergency. Downtown Calgary was underwater. They didn't even know if they could get the Calgary Stampede in July ready because the flood happened about 2-3 weeks before Stampede, something crazy. But anyway, so downtown Calgary was underwater, and there's so many businesses who were likely wiped out or took significant hardware losses because, depending if you're in the basement, and like when downtown city of Calgary is flooded, the NHL arena, Scotiabank Saddledome, that was underwater. There's pictures of it, like the mascot's head was floating, and like where's all the gear stored? Well, it's probably stored in the basement or in a safe server room, filling up with there's all these outlying communities around the city of Calgary, and I don't know if I had any clients directly affected because that was like a decade ago almost. But I know there was a lot of stories because there was people who had businesses in Inglewood. And if your stuff's in the basement, it's going to get destroyed. And you know what? If it's some equipment might survive being cleaned up and redealt with like tape. I don't even know. Like, I'm assuming everything would have been a loss or a write-off unless it was stainless steel or some like kitchen equipment. But it's probably all, if it's electronics, it's all going to be destroyed if it's been underwater. So, in Calgary, we've had flood. BC last year, a lot of BC interior flooding. Don't even want to know about how many farms were lost, lives were lost, animals were lost. But yeah, like how many computer systems were lost in that flood in BC? Fire, for example, we know a couple of years ago, Fort McMurray, Alberta was wiped out by fire. So I'm like, we got fire happens in certain areas. Fire can really happen to anybody. Flooding, well, I was like, oh, Alberta wouldn't get flooded. Oh, wait, you know what? The Bow River, the rivers flood. And with the river floods, if you're a small business who's got, your home office in your basement, it even happens in sewer backups where the water comes up and, if you got anything in the, flood's going to happen to anybody. Fires can happen to anybody. Flood, fire, theft can really happen to anybody. User error definitely happens to everybody. Hackers can definitely happen to everybody. So I don't think, certain parts of the world, you're probably likelier to have more possible negative things happen to your business and interrupt your business flow. And that is why you want to have a plan. And I know everybody's got insurance and this and this and this, but you need to have an insurance policy for your data. You need to have multiple backups. You need to verify those backups actually work, and you need to have a plan. Like, this is a whole thing about having a plan. The plan's going to look different for everybody. So this book is, I believe, really underrated because all of these stories are just inspirational. And you can buy it on Amazon. You can go to brandsharksbook.com, my website, buy it directly from the author. But I really just, you got to think about your digital assets. And I know if you're a 1 or 2 person operation, you got a lot of things on the go, and there's always some fire. There's always something to put out. There's always some problem to put out. And what I'm stating is there's always going to be a problem to put out. But your data, you're never going to get, if you lose it, you're never going to get it back because you're going to have to rebuild it, and it's not going to be the same data. I know I've gone through ransomware attacks, and with ransomware attacks, when people say, oh, I paid the hackers in Bitcoin and they gave me the decryption key. Do you know what happens with that decryption key? The decryption key in a ransomware attack is literally a virus. So there's my chapter. Protect your digital assets. Have a plan for your files, because it's the first thing I ask people when they call and they're like, Mike, I've lost everything. And I'm like, how did you lose everything? How did you lose everything? And then they give me the sob story, and I'm like, where's your backups? I don't have any backups. And I'm like, why don't you have any backups? Because I didn't think it was going to happen to me. Stop. It's going to happen to everybody, and it's going to happen at least one time a year in your life. Really, Mike? It's going to happen. How do you know, Mike? It's going to happen at least once a year in my life. Statistics. You may go a couple of years without it happening to you, and then you're going to have such a substantial episode of data loss. It's going to make you cry, and you're going to say, F you, technology. And now I don't want to use it again. I don't want to use it again because you've burnt me. And then it's going to bring up all the trauma of how many previous times you've been burnt by technology. So, and I didn't lose my train of thought at all. Have a plan. Because I was talking about the ransomware cleanups. This is why it's super important to have a plan. You could be taking care of your own IT. You could be a DIYer, a do-it-yourselfer. Nothing wrong with that as long as you've got a plan to save yourself in case something happens. So you could be a do-it-yourselfer. You could be somebody who's an employee for a bigger, that tech guy or girl, the tech person, the on-site tech person who's kind of doing a bunch of other stuff, but you're the tech person for a company. same as a DIYer, you're going to know enough to be dangerous. You're going to know enough. I get this all the time. Business owners are like, Mike, I just want to check in on this and check in on this and check in on this. I'm like, you can do it yourself. I got no problem with you doing it yourself. No problem with you doing it yourself. But you're your biggest risk. And that's usually every time I run into a ransomware cleanup, there is no other IT company involved. It's always in-house, an employee, or somebody doing too many things in a situation, like your receptionist, your marketer, the accountant, the engineer in the back corner. There's always somebody in the organization who knows enough IT to keep everything in the business running until they're not paying attention and their system's been hacked. So every situation I've run into where there's been a ransomware, it's either in-house IT, it's employee IT making how much ever money, whatever the case may be. They're a do-it-yourselfer. They don't have the skills to properly audit their own work. So, and why I brought this up is because, I read off an email earlier in this broadcast about request for cybersecurity insurance. So I've gone through cybersecurity audits, right? And typically, I get called in because when the insurance company comes in to do your cybersecurity audit after you've been hacked or ransomware, or you're asking for them to do a payout on your cybersecurity insurance. I'm hoping you have a big enough payout as well, because generally the policies I've seen are $50,000 to $100,000 payout, and that's only if you follow all their steps and get your network and your computers up to the security level that the insurance company wants you to be. And you know what? That bill is going to be more than your cybersecurity cybersecurity is going to pay out. I know I've been through a bunch of ransomware cleanups, and customers are never happy with the bill. And I was like, this is why, it's like, you just didn't have enough cybersecurity insurance. And if you can re-qualify it again after you've been hit with ransomware, you better make sure you bump that up to $500,000, $1 million liability, because you've been hacked, you've paid the ransom, and you're probably going to get hacked again because the hackers know you've paid the ransom, and you got the money, you got the funds, you got the wherewithal to actually pay that ransom and pay somebody to clean it all up for you. So, it's my book's all about having a plan. It's all about having a plan. It doesn't matter if you're a small business starting out, making, not even revenue positive. Like, if you have no revenue, I'm like, one day you're going to have revenue, and you better have that plan in place before you get hacked, really. Because you know what, if you only have on-site backups and flood, fire, theft happens, you're screwed. Online backups are great as long as they're encrypted and secured with a password that nobody else knows. Online backups also take longer to recover from if you don't have a very fast internet. Sorry, got hiccups. If you don't have a fast enough internet connection, I've seen online backup restores where clients are complaining, and I'm like, well, all you agreed to was the basic package with us, which is the encrypted online backup, and you've backed up 600, 700, 800 gigabytes, and it's going to take weeks to put that stuff back. We can put priority stuff back first, but when we gave you the options of setting up your plan, basic was encrypted online backup. We can do a bunch of other levels of backup, which just costs more money. So that's why when we sit down and have the consult, when we go through and do your onboarding audits, we know exactly how urgent it is for you to get your business up and running. If you need to be back up and running in 24 to 48 hours, I'm going to have to put more backups in place that are quicker and allow us to restore your environment quicker. So anyway, the whole reason about having a plan and talking about having a plan in here is because my chapter talks about one ransomware situation. One ransomware situation where we went in and went through the whole insurance company audit, and that required literally brand new servers, brand new QNAP, brand new computers. We had to upgrade everything to Microsoft Office 365 because they were using something much, much older. Get rid of the in-house Exchange server, flip that up into Microsoft Office 365. There was a bunch of other hoops to jump through before that insurance company would pay out. And literally their payout is just going to cover half my bill. Well, in that situation, half the bill to fix them in the first place. And of course, the backup company, they were using a company to do their backups. And what happened in that situation is we found out the backups were deleted. So this is why it's important to do an audit on your existing backups. If you're a DIYer or you're hiring another managed service provider to take care of your stuff, I want to see the audits. I want to see the audited backups, and I want to verify that the backups are using, we can actually restore from them, because on all my vehicles, I say, where's your data backups? And people are like, I'm paying that guy to back it up, or I'm paying that service to back it up. And I'm like, sure, show me where the files are, and we're going to restore them to another computer and see how long that process takes. And the customers are shocked that it doesn't happen within an hour, and it can take multiple hours, if not multiple days, if not multiple weeks. So in this particular ransomware cleanup that's in this book, the client ends up paying Bitcoin for the decryption key, right? They paid the ransom. I mentioned to not pay the match. I think both the RCMP and the insurance company and myself said don't pay the ransom, because I'm pretty sure this company, not an existing client, just somebody I knew. But they've trusted me to fix their stuff, right? So I was like, perfect. I'll come in and fix your stuff. I'm going to come in and help you get through this insurance company audit and get your servers and your computers and all this stuff back online. They paid the ransom, and they had a really hard time paying that ransom, because you know how fun it is to buy Bitcoin when you're not already registered on an exchange? It can take days. We're in Canada too. It's not an easy thing buying Bitcoin, especially when you're supposed to send more than one full Bitcoin. That's on top of the ransomware cleanup bill. So they paid the Bitcoin. They went and bought Bitcoin and they sent it. So they're like, yay, our business is going to be up and running tomorrow, no problem. And I'm like, but that's not how this works. That's not how ransomware decryption works. The bad guys demand Bitcoin for you to give up. The bad guys want to be paid in Bitcoin, and they're going to send you a decryption key. All it is a decryption key. It is literally a virus that you have to get loaded on, turn off all we had their system protected at this point because we had it sandboxed from the world. So very limited in and outgoing traffic on their firewalls. So literally had to turn off all the protection. Like, how are you going to do it? We didn't turn off the protection. So what we ended up doing was firing up. We had to, the servers were virtual servers. So we copied the virtual servers over to a non-internet connected computer, ran the decryption virus, which still has to phone home. So when you're dealing with ransomware and you pay the ransom, you're going to get a decryption virus. And what that decryption virus is going to do is it's going to go through and scan your server hard drive and try to decrypt those files. But you don't want to run that. You don't want to run that decryption virus on a current system. At least they were virtual servers. So we were able to copy the virtual servers off to another machine or run the decryption virus. And that is not instantaneous. And I'm assuming there was probably 300 to 400 gigabytes on that virtual server. So yeah, I had my team. We went in there, dealt with the insurance company process, and blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, you got to realize these aren't even new servers. These are running like an ancient Windows Server operating system. So at the end, And why is it so bad? Well, because they didn't have any of their systems documented. None of their employee process none of their employee processes documented, none of their data documented. The server was like a freaking garbage dump of, it's safe to delete, but don't delete it if we don't have backups, that type of situation. And they had backups that were all erased by the bad guys because, of course, the QNAPs, the network attached storage devices they were using, didn't have any security on them, and those weren't being backed up themselves. So it's like, just bad management on top of bad management on top of bad management. And I expect a ton of small businesses across the world are running in the exact same situation, because when I ask business owners, okay, where's your data? They don't really know. They show me their computer, they show me the apps, and I'm making notes in a spreadsheet of, okay, you're using this app for this business process and this app for this business like you're using all these different apps for all these different business processes. So that's, usually what ends up happening in their business is if one of those apps stops working or whatever, then they got a real mess because nothing is documented and they're trying to figure out what broke. So it's like a needle in a haystack. Well, this doesn't work and this doesn't work and this doesn't work and this doesn't work. Well, where did it actually break? Well, if we had business processes documented, data locations documented, and backups documented, then we can easily kind of narrow through it and say, okay, I think this, I'll do a lot of reverse engineering on disasters when it comes to deleted files, websites not working. If a business calls me and they say, hey, our emails don't work, or hey, our website doesn't work, I start asking questions. And then I'm like, okay, because the information I'll get from the end user is usually wrong or modified, or they don't actually know when it happened. And then I have to go look through date stamps on files and computers and try to reinvent what the do-it-yourselfers or the, unknowledgeable IT staff you have, or the unknowledgeable managed service provider that you're using, where they've gone wrong, and then the problem just kind of snowballed. So anyway, it's already 3:10 p.m. So I'm gonna stay in this room today till I get kicked out. Anyway, there's nobody else using the podcast studio except the Calgary Petroleum Club on their own podcast. So hey, let's use this room until we can get the bookings for this room up. So it's a 47-minute video. So I am going to stop this now just to make sure it saves properly, and then I'm going to do another live stream, and I'm going to bring something else up. So anyway, thank you for tuning in today. Again, I stream every Wednesday, 2 p.m. ish Mountain Standard Time from the Calgary Petroleum Studio. I'm looking for guests because I am Mike Duffy from don'tgethacked.ca, and I solve your business technology problems for you. You've got any tech ache you need to deal with, let me take care of them. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, nice to meet you. I want to make sure that you get proper advice and you fix your devices properly, and then you also have a plan to back up personal data, business data, whatever type of data you have. You need to know where it's being stored, how it works, and where the backups are in case you have a disaster, flood, fire, theft, user error, hackers, tsunamis, acts of God, power issues. We just don't want you to lose files, because life is stressful enough and you don't need technology pissing you off, right? So anyway, 48 and a half minutes for today's broadcast. So if you have any questions, don'tgethacked.ca. There's a contact me form there. Send me questions. You can meet me here at the the Calgary Petroleum Club in person, and I will fix your devices for you, or at least give you advice, or we can go through your business technology processes and how we can improve things, find efficiencies to save you money at the end of the day, because that's another topic for another day. Anyway, I'm going to wave until it's over.